Dr. Lisa Campbell walked through the corridors of the research center, her tablet showing concerning data from the past month. The Human Youth Appreciation Initiative had been running for almost 2 years now, and some of the children were beginning to change in ways that worried their alien observers. She entered the main observation room where researcher Vox Danny stood watching a group of children through the transparent walls. His usual calm demeanor seemed troubled, and his large eyes followed one particular child with obvious concern. "Dr. Campbell," Vox Danny said without turning around, "we need to discuss Amy Rodriguez. Her behavior patterns have become irregular." Lisa looked through the wall at 12-year-old Amy, who was sitting alone in the corner of the play area instead of joining the other children. Where once she had been the first to try every new activity, now she seemed distant and uninterested. Her face, which had always been bright with curiosity, now showed a thoughtful expression that the aliens found deeply disturbing. "She's growing up, Vox Danny," Lisa explained gently. "Human children change as they get older. It's completely normal." "Normal?" Vox Danny's voice rose in pitch. She refused to participate in the Harmony Gardens today. "Yesterday," she asked, "why we watch her so closely? She has never questioned our presence before. This is not the Amy we have come to know and love." Through the observation window, they could see Amy's twin brother Ben, who was 13 now, talking to a group of younger children. But instead of playing games like he used to, he was explaining to them how the alien technology worked. His voice had gotten deeper, and he had grown several inches taller in just the past few months. "Ben exhibits similar concerning behaviors," observer Nithar reported as she joined them. "He dissects our gifts instead of simply enjoying them. He asks questions about our government, our society, our motives. This analytical behavior is troubling." Lisa pulled up files on her tablet showing the development charts for all the children in the program. "Look at these patterns. The children who are entering adolescence are all showing similar changes." "It's not a problem. It's human development." "Adolescence?" Vox Danny repeated the word as if it were a disease. "What is this adolescence?" "It's the transition period between childhood and adulthood," Lisa explained. "Human children go through physical and emotional changes as they grow. Their bodies change, their minds develop more complex thinking, and they begin to form their own identities." "Form their own identities?" Observer Nithar's device beeped frantically. "But they already have perfect identities. They are curious, innocent, joyful. Why would they want to change?" Before Lisa could answer, a commotion erupted from the play area. 14-year-old Marcus Bell was standing in the center of the room, his voice carrying clearly through the speakers. "This is stupid," Marcus declared, pointing at the floating water pools. "We're not babies anymore. We don't need magical fish to entertain us. We can think for ourselves now." Several younger children looked shocked, but some of the older ones nodded in agreement. 9-year-old Danny Kim, who had once been the alien's favorite, looked uncertain as he watched Marcus. "Marcus exhibits the most severe symptoms," Vox Danny said, his voice filled with worry. "He has grown tall and angular. His voice has changed pitch. He questions everything we provide. Yesterday, he asked why we don't allow the children to see our ships up close." Lisa watched as Marcus continued his speech to the other children. His parents, Carl and Susan Bell, had been called to the center several times in recent weeks to discuss their son's behavioral problems. "He's becoming independent," Lisa tried to explain. "Human teenagers naturally question authority and want to make their own choices. It's how they learn to become adults." "Adults?" Observer Nithar's voice was filled with horror. "But we don't want them to become adults. We want them to stay as they are. Pure, innocent, wonderful. That's not how humans work," Lisa said firmly. "Children grow up. They have to grow up. It's natural and healthy." Kate Sullivan entered the observation room, looking tired and stressed. As colonial administrator, she had been dealing with increasing complaints from both parents and aliens about the changing behavior of the older children. "How bad is it today?" Kate asked, joining them at the observation window. Amy refused to sing with the harmony flowers, Voxdani reported. Ben took apart one of the building blocks to examine its internal structure, and Marcus ... He paused. As if the words were difficult to say, Marcus told a group of younger children that the aliens might not have their best interests at heart. Kate sighed. The parents are getting worried too. Not about their children's behavior, but about how the aliens are reacting to it. Carl Bell said that observer Nithara actually suggested that Marcus might be sick. We believe there may be some form of contamination, observer Nithara said seriously. Perhaps a virus or toxin that affects human offspring as they age, causing them to lose their pure nature. There's no contamination, Lisa said, trying to keep her voice calm. This is normal human development. Every human child goes through this phase. Every child? Voxdanier's eyes widened in alarm. You mean this will happen to all of them? Yes, Lisa confirmed. Amy, Ben, Marcus, and all the others will continue to change and grow. They'll become more independent, more questioning, more complex in their thinking. Eventually, they'll become adults. The three aliens exchanged looks of panic. Through the observation window, they could see 10-year-old Danny Kim approaching Marcus, asking questions about what he had said. Danny's expression was thoughtful, curious in a way that was different from his childhood wonder. Even young Danny? Observer Nithar asked weakly. Even Danny, Lisa confirmed. He's showing early signs of the transition now. In a few years, he'll be asking the same questions Marcus is asking. Researcher Voxdani activated his communication device. Ambassador Zethkari, we have an emergency situation. The contamination is spreading. We need to contact the Galactic Council immediately. It's not contamination, Lisa protested. It's growth. But the aliens were no longer listening. They were too busy watching Marcus, who had now convinced several other children to join him in what he called a discussion group. The children were talking about their lives, their futures, and their relationship with the aliens who watched them so closely. Why do they study us all the time? Asked 11-year-old Sarah Parker. I mean, we're just kids. What's so special about us? Maybe we're not as special as they think, Marcus replied. Maybe they just haven't seen many human children before. But they act like we're the most important things in the universe, said 13-year-old Kevin Walsh. My mom says aliens come from dozens of worlds just to watch us play. The aliens in the observation room watched this conversation with growing alarm. The children they had loved for their innocence and wonder were beginning to analyze their situation with logical, adult-like thinking. This is a disaster, Voxdani said. We must find a way to stop this transformation before it spreads to all the children. You can't stop it, Lisa said, and you shouldn't want to. These children are becoming smarter, more capable, more interesting. They're growing into the adults who will build the future. We don't want them to build the future, observer Nithara said desperately. We want them to stay as they are. Perfect, innocent, pure. Kate watched the children in the play area with mixed feelings. Part of her was proud to see them growing and developing. But another part worried about what would happen when the aliens realized that their beloved human children were changing into something they couldn't control or predict. Dr. Campbell, she said quietly, what happens when the Galactic Council hears about this? When they realize that human children don't stay children forever? Lisa looked at the panic in the alien's eyes and felt a chill run down her spine. I don't know, she admitted, but I think we're about to find out. In the play area, Marcus was now drawing diagrams in the sand, showing the younger children how the alien technology worked. His explanations were logical, detailed, and showed a level of understanding that impressed even the adult observers. Look at how he thinks, Voxdani said, his voice filled with a mixture of admiration and fear. He understands our technology better than some of our own researchers. His mind has become so complex, so analytical. That's the point, Lisa said. Human children are supposed to develop complex thinking. That's what makes them valuable as adults. But we don't want complex thinking, Observer Nithara said. We want simple joy, pure wonder, innocent curiosity. We want the children we fell in love with, not these thinking beings. As the day ended and the children returned to their families, the aliens gathered in emergency session. They had sent urgent messages to the Galactic Council, reporting that the human children were undergoing some kind of transformation that was changing their fundamental nature. Lisa left the research center feeling deeply troubled. She had always known that this day would come when the aliens would have to face the reality that human children grow up. But she hadn't expected their reaction to be so extreme. The aliens had fallen in love with human childhood, but they seemed incapable of accepting human growth. They wanted to preserve something that was meant to be temporary, to freeze their beloved. 6 months had passed since the first meeting between humans and the Zilithian Confederation. The colony ship Starbound had reached its destination, and the 300 families were now building their new home on the planet they called New Haven. What they didn't expect was that they wouldn't be building alone. Kate Sullivan stood on the observation deck of the Colonial Administration building, watching as massive alien construction ships worked alongside human equipment. The Zilithians had arrived just 1 week after the colonists landed, bringing with them materials, technology, and an eager desire to help humanity establish their settlement. "Ma'am, the alien delegation is here for the morning meeting," said her assistant, Peter Grant. He still seemed amazed every time he said the word alien out loud. Kate nodded and walked to the main conference room where Ambassador Zethkari waited with his team. Over the past months, she had grown used to their tall blue forms and musical voices, but she still felt wonder every time she saw them. "Good morning, Ambassador," Kate said as she entered the room. "How is the playground construction progressing?" "Excellently, Administrator Sullivan," Zethkari replied, his large eyes bright with excitement. "The Crystal Gardens will be completed today, and the learning pods should be ready by tomorrow. We are most eager to begin the Youth Appreciation Initiative." Researcher Voxdani, who had become the lead scientist for the program, spread out holographic blueprints on the table. "We have designed 17 different play areas, each one meant to encourage different aspects of human offspring development. The music gardens will help them explore sound and rhythm. The building zones will let them create and destroy as they wish. The story circles will encourage them to share their wonderful imaginations." Kate studied the plans. The alien technology was incredible. They had built structures that seemed to grow from the ground itself, made from materials that could change color and texture based on the children's moods. Gardens filled with plants that sang when touched. Water features that created shapes and patterns in response to laughter. "This is amazing," Kate said honestly. "But are you sure this isn't too much? The children will be overwhelmed." "Nothing is too much for human offspring," Observer Nithara said firmly. "They are the most precious beings we have encountered in our 1,000 years of space travel. Every comfort, every joy, every opportunity for growth should be given to them." The door opened and Dr. Lisa Campbell entered, followed by several other colonists. Lisa had been appointed as the human liaison for the program, helping to bridge the gap between human and alien understanding. "The parents are gathering in the main square," Lisa reported. "The children are very excited about the new playground. 10-year-old Danny Kim has been asking questions about the Crystal Gardens all morning." "Ah, young Danny," Zethkari said with what passed for a smile among his people. "Such a creative mind. We have prepared special building materials that will respond to his thoughts. He will be able to create structures simply by imagining them." Lisa looked concerned. "Ambassador, I appreciate everything you're doing, but some parents are worried about spoiling the children. On Earth, we believe that some struggle and challenge help children grow stronger." "Struggle?" Researcher Voxdani's voice rose in alarm. "Why would you want your precious offspring to struggle? They are perfect as they are, pure, innocent, filled with wonder." Why would you want to change such beautiful beings? Before Lisa could answer, excited voices could be heard from outside. Through the windows, they could see children running toward the new playground, their parents following behind. The alien construction had been completed overnight, and the results were breathtaking. The playground looked like something from a fantasy story. Crystal trees grew in perfect spirals, their branches forming slides and climbing structures. Pools of water floated in the air, held by invisible force fields, with fish made of light swimming through them. Musical flowers sang different notes when children touched them, creating melodies that seemed to dance in the air. "By the stars," Kate whispered. "It's beautiful." Danny Kim was the first to reach the playground, with Amy and Ben Rodriguez close behind. The aliens had gathered at the edge of the area, watching with intense interest as the children explored their creation. "Look at this!" Danny called out, touching one of the crystal trees. The tree responded by growing a new branch specifically shaped for him to climb. "It knows what I want." Amy discovered that the singing flowers would harmonize with her voice when she hummed. Soon she was conducting an entire garden orchestra, her face glowing with joy. Ben found the building zone where blocks of soft light could be shaped into anything he imagined. "Their happiness levels are off the charts," observer Nithar reported, reading from a device that measured emotional states. "This is the purest joy we have ever recorded." More children arrived, and each one found something that seemed designed specifically for them. 5-year-old Emma Johnson discovered paint that floated in the air and could be shaped with her hands. 7-year-old Tyler Brooks found story stones that would project images to go along with tales he told. 9-year-old Sophie Davis learned that the building blocks would construct themselves based on her drawings. Parents watched in amazement as their children played with technology that seemed like magic. Construction worker Tony Martinez shook his head in wonder as he watched his 6-year-old son Carlos make music by dancing on light-up tiles that responded to his movements. "This is incredible," Tony said to his wife Maria. "But it makes me feel useless. What can we give our kids that compares to this?" Teacher Helen Brooks had similar concerns. She watched as her 8-year-old daughter, Lucy, learned advanced mathematics by playing with number creatures that danced and sang. "The alien teaching methods are amazing," she told Kate. "But Lucy is learning things that are years ahead of her age level. Is this good for her development?" Kate brought these concerns to the afternoon meeting with the aliens. Some parents are worried that the children are being given too much too fast. They're concerned about the children's normal development. Normal development? Zethkari looked confused. "But why would you want normal when you can have exceptional? Your offspring have unlimited potential. We are simply helping them reach it," Dr. Campbell tried to explain. "On Earth, we believe that children need to face some challenges, and even failures to learn important life lessons. They need to learn patience, persistence, and how to handle disappointment." "Disappointment?" Researcher Voxdani's voice was filled with horror. "You want to cause your offspring emotional pain? This is barbaric, not pain," Lisa said quickly. "Growth, learning, building character. Their character is already perfect." Observer Nithar said firmly, "They are curious, creative, joyful, and innocent. What more could you want?" That evening, Kate walked through the colony with Lisa, observing how the children had adapted to their new playground. They were still playing even as the sun set, their laughter echoing through the settlement. "I have to admit," Kate said, "I've never seen them so happy." Danny has built 3 different castles today, each one more complex than the last. Amy composed a song that made the crystal trees dance. Ben created a story world where he and his friends can actually walk through the scenes. "It's wonderful," Lisa agreed. "But I'm also concerned. Back on Earth, children this age will be learning basic skills, doing chores, facing small challenges. Here, everything is provided for them. Everything is easy." They paused near the playground where a few children were still playing in the gentle light provided by the alien technology. The Zilithians had set up observation posts around the area, recording everything the children did. "Look at how they watch," Kate observed. "It's like they're studying the children, not just playing with them." Indeed, the aliens seemed to hang on every word the children spoke, recording their games, their songs, their stories. They had set up a full research station dedicated to studying human childhood development. "We have sent reports to the Galactic Council," Zefkari had told them earlier. "Other species are very interested in meeting your offspring. The crystalline Nethri want to create art inspired by children's drawings. The aquatic Mordum wish to compose music based on their laughter. Your species has become famous across the galaxy." As the days passed, more alien ships arrived. Representatives from dozens of species came to observe the human children at play. They brought gifts, new technologies, and endless fascination with human development. Dr. Nethri created beautiful crystal sculptures that showed scenes from the children's favorite stories. The Mordum built pools where children could swim alongside creatures of living water. The tree-like Verdani grew gardens where the plants would tell stories in rustling whispers. "We're becoming a tourist attraction," Tony Martinez said to his wife one evening. "Aliens come from across the galaxy just to watch our kids play. Is that bad?" Maria asked, watching Carlos show a group of crystalline aliens how to play hide and seek. "I don't know," Tony replied, "but it feels strange, like we're in a zoo and our children are the main exhibit." The alarm bells rang through the corridors of the starship Starbound as Captain Jake Morrison rushed to the bridge. His boots clicked against the metal floor while he ran past crew members who were all moving to their stations. The ship had been traveling through space for 6 months now, carrying 300 families to their new home on a distant planet. "Captain, we have 3 unknown ships approaching from the port side," said Lieutenant Bobby Chun, his voice tight with worry. "They're not responding to our communications, but they're not showing any hostile behavior either." Jake looked at the main screen where 3 sleek silver ships moved in perfect formation. They were unlike anything humans had ever built. The ships seemed to flow through space like liquid metal, their surfaces changing colors from silver to blue to purple. "Keep trying to contact them," Jake ordered, "and get Dr. Lisa Campbell to the bridge. We might need our best xenobiologists if these are what I think they are." Dr. Campbell arrived within minutes, her long brown hair pulled back in a ponytail and her tablet already in hand. She had spent years studying the possibility of alien life, but like everyone else on the ship, she had never expected to actually meet any. "Captain, I'm reading strange energy signatures from those ships," reported engineer Rick Davis from his station. "Whatever technology they're using, it's far beyond anything we have." Suddenly, the comm system crackled to life. A voice spoke in perfect English, though it had a strange musical quality to it. "Human vessel, this is Ambassador Zefkari of the Zilithian Confederation. We request permission to come aboard your ship for peaceful contact." Jake and Lisa exchanged glances. The moment they had all dreamed about was finally happening. "This is Captain Morrison of the human vessel Starbound. You are welcome to come aboard, Ambassador. We'll meet you in docking bay, too." 20 minutes later, Jake stood in the docking bay with Dr. Campbell and a small security team. The airlock opened with a soft hiss, and 3 figures walked through. The aliens were tall and thin, about 7 feet in height, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. Their heads were larger than human heads, with big dark eyes that looked almost like pools of water. They wore simple white robes that seemed to float around their bodies. "Greetings, humans," said the lead figure in that same musical voice. "I am Ambassador Zefkari. These are my companions, researcher Voxdani and observer Nithara. We have traveled far to meet your species." "Welcome to our ship," Jake replied, trying to keep his voice steady. "I'm Captain Morrison, and this is Dr. Campbell, our xenobiologist. We're honored to meet you." The ambassador's large eyes seemed to study them carefully. "We have been watching your species for some time. Your ship carries not just adults, but also offspring, yes? This is most interesting to us. Dr. Campbell stepped forward. Yes, Ambassador. This is a colony ship. Many families are traveling together to establish a new settlement. Would you like to meet some of our people? Very much so, Zefkari replied, and for the first time, something that might have been excitement flickered across his alien features. Jake led the delegation through the ship's corridors. As they walked, crew members stopped to stare at the aliens, their eyes wide with wonder. Children peeked out from behind their parents, curious about the strange visitors. They entered the main recreation area, where dozens of families were gathered. The moment the aliens appeared, the room fell silent. Then 8-year-old Amy Rodriguez broke free from her mother's grip and ran toward the visitors. Wow, are you really aliens? She asked, her brown eyes bright with excitement. You're so tall, and your skin is so pretty. Her twin brother Ben followed behind her, equally excited. Can you fly those cool ships? Do you live in space? What do you eat? The three aliens stopped dead in their tracks. Ambassador Zefkari's large eyes grew even wider as he stared down at the two children. His companions moved closer, their attention completely focused on Amy and Ben. Remarkable, whispered researcher Voxdani. They show no fear, only curiosity and joy. Their neural patterns, observer Nithara added, pulling out a small device that hummed softly. So pure, so unburdened by the complexities we see in adult minds. Amy reached out and touched Zefkari's robe. It's so soft. Is this what clothes feel like on your planet? The ambassador knelt down to Amy's level, his movements careful and gentle. Yes, little one. This is woven from the silk of our moon moss. What is your name? I'm Amy, and this is Ben. We're twins, but I'm older by 3 minutes, Amy announced proudly. Twins, Zefkari repeated the word as if it were the most beautiful sound he had ever heard. 2 offspring from the same birth. How wonderful. More children began to approach, their initial shyness overcome by Amy and Ben's boldness. Soon the aliens were surrounded by a dozen young humans, all asking questions and reaching out to touch their robes, their hands, their faces. Your offspring are magnificent, Zefkari said to Jake and Dr. Campbell. In all our travels across the galaxy, we have never encountered young beings so full of wonder and joy. Dr. Campbell watched as observer Nithara gently lifted 4-year-old Katie Martinez into her arms. The little girl giggled and played with the alien's long fingers, completely unafraid. On our world, researcher Voxdani explained, offspring are created through careful planning and genetic selection. They emerge already possessing much knowledge and purpose. But these, he gestured to the children playing around them, these are pure possibility, unformed but perfect. 10-year-old Danny Kim ran up to the group, carrying a small model spaceship he had built from spare parts. Look what I made. It's just like your ships, but smaller. Do you want to see how it works? The aliens gathered around Danny as he demonstrated his creation, their faces showing amazement at the child's creativity and ingenuity. They asked him questions about how he had built it, where he had learned such skills, and what other things he liked to create. This is unprecedented, Zefkari told Jake quietly. Your young ones create for the joy of creation itself. They explore because they wish to understand. On our world, such activities are assigned by the state based on genetic predisposition and societal need. Over the next few hours, the aliens spent time with dozens of children. They watched 6-year-old Emma Johnson draw pictures of flowers and animals she had never seen. They listened to 9-year-old Tyler Brooks tell stories about brave knights and magical kingdoms. They marveled at 5-year-old Sophie Davis as she built towers from blocks, knocked them down, and built them again, laughing each time. Your species possesses something we have lost, observer Nithara said to Dr. Campbell. Your offspring approach the universe with pure curiosity, unclouded by fear or predetermined purpose. They are what we once were, millions of years ago, before we became efficient. As the day continued, Word spread throughout the ship about the gentle aliens who seemed to love children. Parents brought their kids to meet the visitors, and soon the recreation area was filled with the sounds of laughter and wonder. "We must contact the Galactic Council immediately," Zethkari announced to his companions. "This species must be protected and cherished. These young ones are treasures beyond price." Jake noticed how the aliens' entire demeanor had changed. They had arrived as formal diplomats, but now they moved with the careful gentleness of people who had found something precious and fragile. "Ambassador," Dr. Campbell said, "we would be honored to establish formal contact with your confederation. Perhaps we could arrange for more extended cultural exchanges." "More than that," Zethkari replied, his eyes still following the children as they played. "We will recommend that your species be granted immediate protected status within the Galactic Council. Any being capable of producing such perfect offspring deserves our highest respect and protection." As the aliens prepared to return to their ships, they were surrounded by children offering hugs and handmade gifts. Amy and Ben presented them with drawings they had made during the visit, showing humans and aliens playing together under a bright yellow sun. "We will treasure these always," Zethkari promised, carefully taking the drawings. "And we will never forget this day, when we discovered that the universe still contains innocence and wonder." The first contact between humans and aliens had been a complete success, though not in the way anyone had expected. The Zilithians had come seeking to evaluate a new species, but they had found something far more valuable, a reminder of the joy and curiosity that existed in young, developing minds as the alien ships departed. Their hulls now displaying the same bright colors as the children's drawings, Jake and Dr. Campbell knew that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to discover humanity, and it would fall in love with the most human thing of all, their children. The emergency sirens screamed across Zarian Prime at 2 in the morning, but this time they sounded different. Instead of the steady wail of training exercises, these alarms rose and fell in sharp bursts that made Amy's heart race even faster than usual. She rolled out of her bunk and grabbed her uniform, her hands shaking as she pulled on her boots. Around her, other cadets were moving with the same urgent energy, but their faces looked scared in a way Amy had never seen before. "All personnel to battle stations," Commander Korthic's voice boomed through the station. "This is not a drill. The Void Collective is attacking the Zarian system. All cadets report to Deployment Base 7 immediately." Amy felt like ice water had been poured into her stomach. The Void Collective had attacked mining colonies before, but they had never been bold enough to assault a major military installation. The academy was supposed to be safe. "Amy, hurry," Zara called, already dressed and helping Pip with equipment straps. "They're loading everyone onto ships." Amy's mind was racing with questions, but her body moved automatically. She had learned to trust her instincts over the past months. Even when she didn't understand what was happening, Deployment Base 7 was chaos. Hundreds of cadets and instructors were running around, loading weapons and supplies onto transport ships. Amy could see fear in the aliens' faces, which made her own fear worse. If beings like Commander Korthic were worried, then this was really bad. "Squad 7, over here," Instructor Velkoff called out. The old Zenthari's crystal body was flashing with urgent red lights. "You're being assigned to the Defensive Communication Station Beta." Amy looked at the tactical display on the wall. Communication Station Beta was a small facility on the outer edge of the system, far from the main academy. It looked isolated and unimportant. "Why are we being sent there?" Zara asked. "Shouldn't we be helping defend the academy?" "The Void Collective attacks communication systems first," the instructor explained. "If they destroy our ability to coordinate, the main defense becomes impossible. Your job is to keep that station operating no matter what." Amy felt a mix of disappointment and relief. Part of her wanted to be in the main battle, proving herself alongside the best cadets. But another part of her was grateful to be given a mission that seemed less dangerous. The transport ship that carried them to Communication Station Beta was small and fast. Through the window, Amy could see the lights of other ships moving through space like angry fireflies. Some were heading toward the Academy to defend it. Others were spreading out to protect smaller installations. I have been analyzing Void Collective attack patterns, Pip chimed nervously. They prefer to strike multiple targets simultaneously to divide enemy forces. Which means we might not be going to a safe, easy assignment, Hum said, the glowing form flickering with worry. Amy stared out at the stars and felt her mind starting to race. The Void Collective was known for being unpredictable, but that didn't mean they were stupid. If they were attacking communication stations, it was part of a larger plan. Communication Station Beta was built into a large asteroid that floated in empty space. It looked like a metal flower growing out of gray rock, with sensor arrays and communication dishes pointing in all directions. The station was operated by only 12 technicians and had minimal defensive weapons. Not exactly a fortress, Zara observed as their ship docked. Station Commander Nexvor, a nervous Valorian with twitching blue skin, met them at the airlock. Thank the stars you're here. We've been picking up strange signals all day, ships moving in patterns that don't make sense. Amy followed the commander to the main control room, a circular chamber filled with screens showing different parts of the star system. She could see the locations of friendly ships, enemy vessels, and neutral traffic all displayed in different colors. Her eyes immediately went to the enemy ship positions. Most of the Void Collective fleet was attacking the Academy, just as expected. But some ships were moving in ways that seemed random and pointless. Amy, you have that look, Zara said. What are you seeing? Amy pointed at the display. Look at these 3 ships here. They're not heading for any important targets. They're just wandering around. Perhaps they are lost, Pip suggested. Or perhaps they're doing something we don't understand yet, Amy said, her mind jumping from possibility to possibility. Before anyone could respond, alarms started blaring throughout the station. Enemy ships approaching, one of the technicians announced. 3 vessels moving fast. Amy looked at the tactical display and felt her stomach drop. The 3 wandering ships weren't wandering anymore. They were heading straight for Communication Station Beta. How long until they arrive? Commander Nexvor asked. 12 minutes, the technician replied. Amy felt her hyperactive energy building up. 12 minutes wasn't enough time to call for help. The nearest friendly ships were busy defending other targets. Communication Station Beta had to defend itself. What weapons do we have? Zara asked. 2 defensive laser cannons and a shield. Generator, the commander replied. But the shields won't hold against 3 ships for very long. Amy's mind was processing information faster than usual, looking for patterns and connections. The attacking ships were smaller than the ones assaulting the Academy. That meant they were faster but less heavily armed. They were probably planning to disable the station quickly and move on. They'll target the communication arrays first, Amy said suddenly. If they destroy those, the station becomes useless. Obviously, Commander Nexvor replied. We'll use the defensive cannons to protect the arrays. No, Amy said, her words coming out fast as her thoughts raced. That's what they expect us to do. We need to do something else. Such as what? The commander asked. Amy stared at the tactical display, her mind jumping between different ideas. The attacking ships would come in fast, hit the communication equipment, and leave. It was a simple plan that would work unless they did something unexpected. What if we make them think we're already destroyed? Amy asked. Everyone looked at her like she was crazy. Explain, Zara said. Amy's hands were moving as she talked, gesturing at the screens and displays. Look, they want to destroy our communication equipment. But what if we shut it down ourselves, right before they attack? Make it look like the station is already dead. That's insane, Commander Nexvor said. If we shut down communications, we can't call for help or coordinate with other stations. But if they think we're already destroyed, They might not waste time attacking us, Amy continued. They'll move on to other targets. And if they don't fall for it, asked. Then we turn everything back on and fight, Amy said. But at least we'll have surprised them. Pip's crystal body chimed with rapid calculations. The probability of success is difficult to determine. The plan depends entirely on enemy psychology, which is exactly why it might work, Zara said, understanding Amy's logic. The Void Collective thinks they know how military minds work. They don't expect us to voluntarily destroy our own capability. Commander Next VOR looked uncertain. This goes against all military doctrine. We're supposed to defend our position, not abandon it. Sometimes the best defense is to make the enemy think there's nothing worth attacking. Amy said. The commander stared at the approaching enemy ships on the display. They would arrive in 8 minutes. There wasn't time for long debates or careful planning. Do it, he said finally. Shut down all communications and power down everything except life support. The technicians began turning off systems one by one. The lights dimmed, the screens went dark, and the constant hum of electronics faded to silence. Communication station. Beta went from a vital military installation to what looked like a dead piece of space. Amy watched the enemy ships on the one screen they had kept active for monitoring. The 3 vessels approached the station and slowed down, their sensors scanning the dark asteroid. They're not attacking, one of the technicians whispered. Wait, Amy said, her eyes glued to the display. They're still deciding. For 5 long minutes, the enemy ships circled the station. Amy could imagine the pirates inside, trying to figure out if the station was really dead, or if it was some kind of trap. Finally, the ships turned away and headed toward their next target. They bought it, Zara said with relief. Now what? Commander. Next VORF, Amy's mind was already working on the next problem. Now we become ghosts. We stay dark until the main battle is over, but we keep watching and listening. Maybe we can help in ways the enemy won't expect. For the next 4 hours, Communication Station Beta operated in complete silence. They monitored enemy communications, tracked ship movements, and gathered intelligence without transmitting anything that would reveal their position. Amy's hyperactive mind was perfect for this kind of work. She could process multiple information, stream simultaneously, noticing patterns in enemy behavior that others miss. Her inability to focus on one thing became an ability to focus on everything. Amy, Pip chimed quietly, I am detecting something unusual in the enemy communication patterns. Amy looked at the data Pip was showing her. The Void Collective ships were using a complex system of coded messages, but there was something wrong with the timing. They're not just coordinating attacks, Amy realized. They're counting something. Look at these number sequences. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council had never seen such chaos. Representatives from 47 different species filled the vast chamber, their voices creating a symphony of concern, fear, and confusion. At the center of it all sat 17-year-old Amy Rodriguez, calm and composed despite being the focus of the galaxy's most powerful beings, Supreme Counselor Dex Mori, a being that looked like a living crystal formation, called for order. The emergency session will now begin. Ambassador Zethkari of the Zilithian Confederation has requested this gathering to address what he calls the human crisis. Amy looked around the chamber with interest rather than fear. The different alien species were fascinating to observe. Some floated in energy fields, others stood on multiple legs, and a few seemed to be made of living liquid. But despite their physical differences, they all stared at her with the same expression of worried confusion. Honorable Council, Zethkari began, his musical voice carrying clearly through the chamber. We stand before you today to report a terrible discovery. The human species, which we recommended for protection and cherishment, has revealed a dark secret. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Amy noticed how the aliens leaned forward, hanging on every word. The human children we loved, The innocent beings we thought were the galaxy's greatest treasure undergo a horrific transformation. They become ... teenagers. The word teenagers echoed through the chamber like a curse. Some aliens actually recoiled in their seats. Representative Klondar of the Vorthak delegation, whose crystal-embodied globe with agitation, spoke up. Explain this teenager phenomenon. What exactly happens to the children? They lose their innocence, Zefkari replied gravely. Their pure wonder becomes sharp analysis. Their trusting nature becomes suspicious questioning. Their joyful acceptance becomes rebellious defiance. Show them, Observer Nithara said from her position near the evidence table. Show them what Amy Rodriguez has become. A massive holographic display activated above the chamber, showing recordings of Amy at different ages. The first image showed her as an 8-year-old, running toward the aliens with bright excitement and joy. This is the Amy we fell in love with, Zefkari narrated. Pure, innocent, trusting, filled with wonder. The aliens in the chamber made sounds of approval and admiration. Some of the more emotional species actually sighed with happiness at the image, and the display changed to show Amy as she was now tall, confident, articulate, and unafraid. And this is what she has become, Zefkari continued. Observe her body language. See how she stands with confidence instead of submission. Notice her direct gaze instead of innocent wonder. The chamber erupted in alarm sounds. The crystalline Nethri delegation glowed with distress. The aquatic Mordum created turbulent patterns in their water tanks. The gaseous Velthari swirled. With agitation, Supreme Counselor Dexmori addressed Amy directly. Young human, is it true that you question the motives of those who care for you? Yes, Amy replied clearly. I believe that questioning motives is important for understanding relationships and making informed decisions. The chamber fell silent at her direct answer. Then chaos erupted again. She speaks with no deference, exclaimed Representative Yithara. Of the Mordun, where is the sweet uncertainty of youth? Her confidence is threatening, added Counselor Vexanoi of the plant-like Verdani. She shows no proper respect for her elders and betters. Amy stood up, her movement causing several aliens to actually step backward. With respect, Counselor, I don't understand why confidence should be considered threatening. Isn't it better for beings to think clearly and speak honestly? No. The shout came from multiple delegates at once. Representative Zolkeith of the energy-based Fluxani materialized more solidly to address her. Young human, do you not understand that your role is to bring joy and wonder to the galaxy? Your questions and analysis serve no useful purpose. I disagree, Amy said calmly. Questions lead to understanding. Analysis leads to progress. If my only purpose is to entertain you with childish wonder, then you're not treating me as a person. You're treating me as a pet. The word pet hit the chamber like a physical blow. The aliens recoiled, as if Amy had attacked them. She is hostile, declared Representative Klondar. This proves the contamination has made her dangerous. I'm not hostile, Amy replied. I'm honest. And if honesty frightens you, then maybe you should examine why that is. Supreme Counselor Dexmori's crystal. Form flicker with stress patterns? The human displays the exact symptoms Ambassador Zefkari described. She questions, she challenges, she refuses to accept guidance without explanation. Furthermore, Zefkari continued, she has influenced other human offspring. 16-year-old Marcus Bell has organized what he calls independence movements among the adolescents. They demand the right to visit our ships, to understand our technology, to participate in decisions about their own lives. Participation in decisions? Representative Yuthar S. aquatic form churned with alarm. But children should not make decisions. That is why we love them. They accept our wisdom without question. We're not children anymore, Amy said firmly. And even when we were children, we deserved to understand what was happening to us. The chamber erupted again. Aliens spoke rapidly in their own languages, creating a cacophony of fear and confusion. Order! Supreme Counselor Dexmori commanded. The assembly will hear testimony about the spread of this transformation. Researcher Voxdani stepped forward. Honorable Council, the contamination affects all human offspring as they age. 10-year-old Danny Kim, once our most cherished subject, now asks why we don't share our advanced technologies with humans. 13-year-old Ben Rodriguez has begun teaching younger children to question alien motives. Even worse, observer Nithara added, the infected adolescents show no gratitude for the gifts we have given them. They analyze our presence instead of simply enjoying them. They want to understand how things work instead of accepting them as magic. Representative Clone Dar's crystalline form glowed with anger. This proves that humans are naturally deceptive. They present their children as innocent treasures while hiding their true nature as questioning, analytical beings. We never hid anything, Amy protested. Human development is not a secret. If you had asked about our life cycle, we would have explained it to you. We did not ask because we did not want to know, Zefkari admitted. We wanted to believe that human children would remain children forever. That's impossible, Amy said. No sentient species stays young forever. Don't your own people grow and change? We emerge from our creation pods with full knowledge and predetermined purposes, Representative Clondar explained. We do not experience this chaotic growing up process. Neither do we, added Representative Yithara. Our offspring are born with complete understanding of their roles in society. Amy looked around the chamber with growing understanding. You're all afraid of change, aren't you? That's why you love human children. We were the only beings you met who started simple and stayed that way. Silence, Supreme Counselor Dexmori commanded. The human will not analyze this council. But that's exactly what she's doing, Representative Zolkiev observed with horror. She's studying us, understanding us, forming her own opinions about. U.S., this is the dangerous behavior we must prevent. Motion to quarantine the human species, Representative Clondar declared. Until we can find a cure for this adolescent plague, they must be contained. Seconded, called Representative Yithara. Wait, Amy said, raising her voice above the chaos. You're making a terrible mistake. Human teenagers aren't damaged children. We're developing adults. We have capabilities you haven't even discovered yet. What capabilities could possibly justify this loss of innocence? Supreme Counselor Dexmori demanded. Problem solving, Amy replied. Innovation, adaptation, the ability to face new challenges and find creative solutions. The same questioning you fear is what allows us to discover new possibilities. We do not want new possibilities, Zefkari said firmly. We want the predictable joy of innocent children. Then you'll never understand what makes humans valuable as a species, Amy said. You fell in love with one stage of our development and decided that was all we should ever be. The chamber buzzed with agitated conversation as aliens debated among themselves. Amy could hear words like quarantine, contamination, and threat, repeated over and over. The motion to quarantine humans until a cure can be found has been seconded, Supreme Counselor Dexmori announced. We will now vote. You're making a mistake, Amy said one final time. Human teenagers aren't broken children. We're future adults. And if you fear us now, wait until you see what we can accomplish when we reach our full potential. That, Representative Gondar said coldly, is exactly what we are afraid of. The vote began, and Amy watched as species after species voted to isolate humanity from the rest of the galaxy. They had loved human children with a desperate intensity, but they feared human growth with equal passion. As the final votes were counted, Amy realized that humanity's greatest strength, their ability to develop, adapt, and question, had just become their greatest threat in the eyes of a galaxy that valued predictability.